What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the post-game show tonight. Unfortunately, a loss for the Lakers. So they lose to the defending NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder, 119 to 110, the final score. A very entertaining game, a very back and forth. Kind of, to be honest with everybody, I did think Lakers, just based off of who was going to be playing in this game, I thought it probably be relatively close. Lakers would give themselves a chance, and they did give themselves a chance. Unfortunately, it's not a W for the Lakers, so they end up losing this game 119 to 110. Got a lot that we're going to hit on. Certainly, I think there's some. Yeah, I think there's a few positives you could take away from this game. I thought probably one of the bigger storylines coming out of this game was part of it was the refereeing, couple of missed calls. How much of it from there? Jalen Williams, clutch at the end, closing the game, doing what he does, and the Lakers still end up losing the game, 119 to 110. And we'll get into it. I mean, there's a number of different things that we can get into. I know a disappointing game. Lakers have been playing some really good basketball. I thought this game was right up in the air. No SGA, no Luka Doncic. A couple key players missing from both teams. So I did think Lakers would have an opportunity in this game, especially just the circumstances like I mentioned. So looking forward to breaking it all down. We'll talk about some of the individual players, some play calls towards the end, some Austin Reaves I thought looked a little bit frustrated out there, probably trying to draw fouls more than just trying to make plays. Jake LaRavia struggling towards the end of that game, and he's subbed out towards the end, and obviously this doesn't go the Lakers' way. So we'll break it all down. Please do me a favor if you guys don't mind. Please subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate that, and we'll certainly hit on all the topics that we need to hit on. Okay, so let me do this. Let me first, and I'm going to get into as many comments as I possibly can, so we'll do that. But let me just kind of start off with my initial thoughts on the game. I thought it was actually a really good game. It was entertaining. First half, OKC kind of controlled the first half. Let me see. What were they up by? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. What are they up by halftime? They're only up 6. So Lakers, to be honest, it felt like they should be down a lot more than 6. The Thunder went up by 14 early, and then all of a sudden Lakers start the third quarter, very similar to the way the game went on Saturday night against the Golden State Warriors. You actually heard the guys, the broadcasters, talking a lot about that on Peacock. They're mentioning that this had a very similar feeling to it against the Golden State Warriors. Lakers came out, dominated. The difference in that game is when the Lakers came out and dominated in the third quarter, they kind of almost put the game away. Not necessarily, but they obviously kind of took control of the game. This game, you always knew Thunder were going to be there. But at one point, Lakers go up 8, and you're kind of saying to yourself, Lakers going to do this again? They're going to put themselves in a position where they got a chance to be now 14 games over 500, playing as good as basketball as anybody in the NBA. Not because they're beating all these unbelievable teams. Some of it has to do with the schedule. They go on the 8-game road trip. They come back 5-3, and then obviously win their first 2 games since they come back home. There was some feelings in this game that you thought, I think they got a shot to win this thing. OKC is going to eventually make a run. What's it going to look like? Few things kind of stood out to me. One thing I will say, and I was listening to Spectrum a little bit on the post game, and they're talking a little bit about just the end of the game, how it kind of closed. Lakers having to use some of their challenges. I know a lot of people weren't too crazy about that. Lakers used their challenges on what seemed like maybe more obvious calls. Then you got that baseline play with a referee standing baseline, doesn't see the ball go out of bounds. I thought definitely didn't think the refs were perfect. I think they definitely missed a couple of key plays, a couple of key possessions there. But the Lakers did go up 8, and they couldn't get stops towards the end. They got buckets. Marcus Smart would get a bucket. Austin Reaves would get a bucket. LeBron would get a bucket. Rui would get a bucket. They found ways to score and to put themselves in a position where it was at least a game towards the end. Here's the problem for the Lakers. They could never really get a stop in that fourth quarter with about 6 minutes left to play when they really needed it. A couple of offensive rebounds for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Alex Caruso was a killer against the Lakers tonight. Early on, it was Isaiah Joe, and then it turned into Alex Caruso. And then, obviously Jalen Williams, who's one of the premier players in the NBA. Not that he had a great night, but when it was money time, they basically handed him the ball and said, "You go do your thing," and he did. And Lakers really couldn't get those one or two stops that they needed. When they took that 8-point lead, that was one of their strengths. They got stops that they needed. They got timely stops, and that kind of got them back into the game. But the final couple of possessions, that wasn't the case. I'd say the final 3-4 minutes of the game, that wasn't the case. And when push came to shove and Lakers needed some key stops, they just weren't able to get it. I mean, just simple as that. They lost this game tonight because those last couple of minutes in that fourth quarter, I'm watching the highlights right now, 3:30 left to go. It's a 3-point game. Jalen Williams gets a bucket near the free throw line. I'm not 100% sure what the Caruso LeBron thing was. We'll get into that in a little bit. I have no idea actually what that was, but the two were kind of jawing at each other, and I thought they were joking around, but apparently it didn't look like they were joking around. Again, I'm watching some of these highlights here. A big-time three in the corner for Oklahoma City with about 3 minutes left. They get it up to 7, and then you just kind of knew the game was going to be over. Now, listen, Lakers got it back down to 3, a couple of possessions, but they just couldn't get any stops. So Lakers defensively just couldn't get key stops when they needed to. And some individual performances I thought were pretty good from the Laker players. I mean, if I look here just from an offensive perspective for the Lakers, LeBron had 22, 10, and 6. By the way, still putting up 22, 10, and 6. And then, not that all those stretches are perfect. Marcus Smart gave you 19. Jake LaRavia gave you 14. Really struggled towards the end, which is why he got benched. He just couldn't hit it. His confidence wasn't there on some of those threes. Rui was in double figures. Jackson Hayes was in double figures. And Austin Reaves was 16 points. Not enough from Austin. 5 turnovers. Looked a little all over the place. Good defenders all over him. One of the things that I think bothered me a little bit with Austin Reaves tonight, just trying to draw too many fouls. That's all. There are too many teams in the NBA, too many players in the NBA. And Austin Reaves is one of these players. Luka's another one of these players. They get rewarded a lot for trying to draw fouls. But I think one of the negatives of trying to draw a foul, it takes you away from actually trying to get a bucket. You're spending so much time trying to get your hand in a certain direction and put your body, lean your body into the defender. And you're trying to do so many things. It's an art form. Trust me, it is. 100% it's an art form when players are able to do this on a night in, night out basis. The problem is, I think sometimes it takes away from the rhythm of a basketball player that's just, I'm going to go get a bucket. And whether I get the foul called or I don't, it's just icing on the cake if I get the foul called. But I'm trying to score. And Reaves is one of the best players in the NBA that can draw fouls and can kind of contort his body to, certain ways. And defenders like, I don't know what the hell to do. This guy is finding every single way to get some type of contact. That's the part about Reaves' game I didn't like. Too many turnovers as well. 5 turnovers for him tonight. This is a perfect example. When you play a team, for those that want to go out there, Austin Reaves got 35 points in 25 minutes against the Philadelphia 76ers. He was brilliant. He was amazing. There's certain times with Austin Reaves where it's like, all right, he's got to have the ball in his hands. He's got to do his thing. Of course he does. But that's when you have a Luka Doncic type of player out there, it's not all on his shoulders. Tonight, it felt like a lot of it was on his shoulders. Now, Lakers still put up 110 points, found other ways to do other things. But like I mentioned, too many turnovers for Austin Reaves in this one. And you might have good individual performances at times tonight. I know Ayton didn't have these crazy stats, but 6 points, he had 10 rebounds. I kind of actually liked his energy, if I'm being honest with you. How was he on the plus minus? -5 in the plus minus. Reaves was a -14 in the plus minus. Vando continues to do all the other little things. I like that a lot of the broadcasters were mentioning Vando. He had the highest plus minus for the Lakers with a +9. On the other side, looking at Oklahoma City, it's interesting watching them play because there were some times in that first half, it looked really good. Really, really good in that first half. Isaiah Joe looks like an absolute baller. He had 19. Most of it came in the first half. They don't have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, so that ball's moving. They're not dependent on one player. But they have moments, too, where it looks stagnant, where nobody really knows what to do. Shots are They're depending too much from the three-point line. So they're not perfect either. They had 14 threes. They shot 42% from the three-point line. But they also have individuals that just all understand their role. How good was Alex Caruso tonight? 17 points, a plus 19 in the plus minus in 24 minutes. It seems like every time he's on the floor, he's doing something well. He just has so many different ways of affecting a game. He could help you on the defensive side. He could be a threat on the offensive end. He takes threes when he needs to take threes. He's one of those players. There's a couple players that I'm sure for Laker fans, listen, it's been a number of years now, so it's not like this just happened yesterday. But there's been a number of players that have left the Lakers, and I'm sure there's a lot of Laker fans, or they were traded from the Lakers. You know, I could obviously use Ivica Zubac as an example. I could use Alex Cruz. There's a couple of players that people always just say to themselves, they say to themselves how do I put it here? It's like a regret that always comes up every time you see one of those players. Caruso's one of those players for the Lakers. Definitely one of those players for the Lakers. All right. I want to look at some of the comments, and we'll spend a little bit of time, obviously, breaking everything down. Disappointing loss, like I said. It's kind of a weird game because there were some moments where I thought to myself that I'm like, yeah, Lakers this might get ugly, especially in that first half. Then there are moments in the second half, I'm like, Lakers have a good chance of winning this game. Then obviously it came down to the end. I was looking, they were showing the stats on Peacock. And the stats were basically what the Lakers are, 22, 23-0 when leading at the end of the fourth quarter. And by the time I think Austin Reaves hit a three, or I'm sorry, Caruso hit a three to end the third quarter, I believe then it completely flipped, and now Thunder had a lead, and Thunder had a tremendous record at the end of games as well, or the end of the third quarter as well. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and we'll obviously continue to break down the game and everything else. Let's see what people got to say. Refs were bad. Here's what I don't want to have happen. Somebody can make an argument and say, wait a minute, if you win your challenge, then why can't you challenge again? The problem is, what I don't want to see happen is 37 challenges in a game. I mean, if you told me pick one or the other, let's just make this black or white. You can have as many challenges as you want if you keep winning your challenges, or have no challenges at all. I'd rather go no challenges. But the challenges hurt the Lakers tonight because they won 2 challenges, didn't have another challenge, and then just a bad call on the baseline. I did listen to a lot of the post-game broadcast for a second there with James Worthy and these guys, and they were talking a little bit about just the referees in general, that Oklahoma City Thunder were allowed to play very, very aggressive. I don't know. You know, I'm trying to think here. Do we want to see fouls called on every possession? I certainly don't. Now, maybe Oklahoma City is reaching. Maybe they're doing a lot of that. Maybe that's why some of the players were frustrated from the Lakers' perspective. But I feel like Lakers get to the free throw line a ton. Lakers are one of those teams that, no question about it, get as many opportunities as any other team in the NBA. Luka draws fouls, he gets fouls. LeBron draws fouls, he gets fouls. Austin Reaves draws fouls, he gets fouls. So I have a difficult time sympathizing with the Lakers if there's a game where they don't get some of those calls. So there's a little bit here that I kind of pause when I see some of that, because I also don't want to see a free throw battle. I don't want to see any of that either. Instead of crying for fouls, we should just be physical. I don't disagree there. You know, I was saying that a little bit earlier. I think there are too many players out there right now in the NBA, Alex Caruso or Austin Reaves being one of them, where he's trying to draw too many fouls rather than just go get your bucket. All right, let's see what else we have. Let's get some more comments in here. Ayton sucks, man. Listen, I've seen plenty of games from DeAndre Ayton where it's a lot worse than it was tonight. I think I'd put on there, I said that I actually I don't think Ayton's energy was terrible tonight. I've seen Ayton be a lot worse from an energy perspective. Got 10 rebounds. Probably he just doesn't shoot the ball, and he's not aggressive at all. But I thought defensively he was better in some of these other games I've seen. Trust me, I've seen plenty of games of DeAndre Ayton where it's a lot worse than this. Now, 6 points and 10 rebounds. Guy can't hit a free throw of his life, dependent on it. 0 for 3, 3 of 5 from the field. Can the guy take 8 or 9 shots? Why does he take so many? Why is he such of little presence on the offensive end? I don't know for you. The 10 rebounds I'll take. I mean, he had what, over 25, almost 30% of the Lakers' rebounds tonight. So, from that perspective, trust me, I've seen a lot worse games from Austin or from DeAndre Ayton. Simultaneously, refs were bad as well as Lakers tonight. Two things can be true at once and not be an excuse. Let's not blame the refs. I'm with you guys on that one. Yeah, and I go back to something I said a little bit earlier. At the end of the day, Lakers get a lot of free throws. So to watch this game and just kind of start going towards free throw shooting and complaining about, well, this guy didn't get this call and that call, that's going to happen in a game. I don't think the Lakers lost this game tonight because of the referees. And they couldn't get stops at the end of the game. That's it. The final 5 minutes of the game, they just couldn't get a stop. They didn't have an answer for Jalen Williams. A couple of offensive rebounds, couple of key threes by a couple of these players. The other Jalen Williams. So it's this didn't have to. I don't think this game was dictated by one call. End of the game. That's it. Awful call, and that was the reason why the Lakers lost. I think there was more to it than that. And OKC is also a good team. Slee, don't think Lake Show can be OKC, Denver, Spurs in 7-game series. You agree? Yeah, I think, right now, and I don't know how much is going to change, and I don't think this is just because of tonight. The problem with tonight is Luka and SGA didn't play. That's the problem with tonight. The problem with tonight is we didn't get a chance to actually see two of the best players in the world, two of probably the top 4, top 3, top 5, wherever you want to put them in the world. They didn't get to play tonight. So that kind of changes everything. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder, if Lakers took on the Thunder in a 7-game series, they're not going to be favored, and it would be a shock. It'd be kind of a shocker if they won that series, right? Lakers wouldn't be expected to beat the Thunder. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but they're not going to be expected to. And I think there's a little bit, the Spurs are in an interesting spot. Lakers, by the way, got the Spurs coming up tomorrow. They're in an interesting spot against San Antonio. San Antonio's a really good team. San Antonio's won, I want to say 3 or 4 against the Oklahoma City. Maybe it was 4 or 5 because of the playing tournament as well. They faced them in the semifinals. So the Thunder, the Spurs have done a really good job against Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't think Thunder are completely unbeatable, but there are levels to the game, and Lakers are not on that level. Nor do I think they're on the level of the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm with you on the Denver front. I know Denver has been struggling, but that's a phenomenal team when they're healthy, and they got to be healthy. So there's questions with all these other teams as well. All right, let's see some more here. I think I see a lot of people going at let's see. A lot of people going, okay, somebody give me the AR stuff. Give me some of the AR stuff. Do I see this? Am I reading this right on? Let's see. Austin is a black hole tunnel vision. Let's get another one here. AR is very good against bad average defenses, a lot like Drake May. AR is bad. Reaves been hanging around Luka. You could tell the way he's bitching the refs. I will tell you this. Last 2 games, he's been a lot more aggressive with the referees. He was very aggressive tonight with his fist pump towards the referee, got the technical. And I think he didn't get a technical against Golden State, but he had a moment there where he was aggressive against the Warriors as well. Guys, can I tell you this about Austin Reaves? Because I feel like I was talking to somebody today. There's a guy I usually see at the gym. Actually, I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a big Laker fan, knows I do the show. Typically, if I run into him, then him and I are going to have a conversation. And he was talking about how he really thinks AR is better for the Lakers coming off the bench. Might use this as a topic tomorrow. He really thinks that Lakers are better off with AR coming off the bench. I told him something that my vibe when I bring up or talk about Austin Reaves is not typically a positive vibe, I feel like, from Laker fans. I think there's a lot of Laker fans that have kind of targeted Austin Reaves whenever there's a loss or something goes wrong, or they got a lot of question marks and they keep kind of piling it on Austin Reaves. The vibe I typically get about Austin Reaves, they're not crazy about a future with Austin Reaves. That's the vibe that I get on the channel. Now, I don't completely agree with that, but that's the vibe that I typically get on the channel with Austin Reaves. When he drops 35 points against Philadelphia, everybody's saying, look how great this guy is. So good to have him back. He's a game changer. He's so good. And when he doesn't have a great game against Oklahoma City Thunder, which this is what OKC should do, Luka's not playing. They got brilliant defenders, a lot of them in the backcourt. They're going to put guys on him. Their defense is going to be more focused on Austin Reaves. And I'm not shocked at all that Austin Reaves didn't have a great game against the Oklahoma City Thunder and had 5 turnovers. I think that has a lot to do with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But game to game, to just take Austin Reaves and say, oh my gosh, look how unbelievable. And then a game like tonight, it's like, this guy's bad. Stop, don't pay him, this, that, all these red flags that come up. It's all over the place. I get some of it. Some of it, I think, is he becomes a scapegoat for the Lakers anytime they lose or anything. Anytime he doesn't have a perfect stat line, I feel like people just target Austin Reaves. Is that safe to say? Is that a safe assessment on Austin Reaves? All right, let's see what people are saying here. The problem is this version of AR is shown all the time against teams like this, okay? We are not winning the playoffs with him like this. I don't disagree with that. I do think that he is going to have to be – Austin Reaves is going to have to be really, really good in the playoffs for the Lakers to make some real noise. I don't disagree with that. I agree with you on that. But I also wasn't surprised coming into this game tonight that Austin Reaves would struggle without Luka. A lot of attention on him. Their backcourt and some of their best defenders are all guards, can key in on him. I'm not shocked that he didn't have a great game. AR is not getting past the Oklahoma City Thunder. That ain't happening. By the way, AR, LeBron, and Luka probably would not get past the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I don't think this is just an AR thing. I think this is let's look at the talent on that side versus the talent on this side. I don't know if I like, obviously the chances of the Lakers in that predicament, in that situation. What I mean more about Austin Reaves, it's not that AR is a perfect fit with Luka, because I don't think he is. It's not that AR plays defense, because I don't think he does. And it's not that AR is not going to be very, very expensive in the summer. I think you guys are all right about all that stuff to an extent, right? I think if you build the right team around Luka and AR, all these other pieces make sense. LeBron's off the team. I think there's ways to kind of figure some stuff out. But what I will say is this. He's damn talented. He's also a very, very good player. And at the same time, I don't really feel like he gets credit for the things he does do well. I feel like everybody just, just no matter what happens, it's like that's kind of becoming the target for a lot of Laker fans. So listen, that's my observation. If you guys see it different, that's okay. But that's my vibe that I noticed. And I'm obviously interacting with Laker fans all day long, so there is a lot of it. But most of the comments I read about AR are not positive. And some people might not even be talking about the game tonight. Some people are like, but Slee, he didn't do good in the last playoffs. I'm like, all right, well, that was how many months ago? Can we wait till this playoffs to see? Let's just give that a second. That's what it's been. That's been some of my observation. So we'll see what happens. I do think Austin Reaves is a very, very good NBA player. I think he's an all-star, because I think he would have been an all-star. But I also understand where people are coming from, and they got some of those hesitations of like, yeah, but is that going to work in a playoff series? I don't know. Is that going to work with him and AR or him and Luka? I don't know. I just know coming in tonight, the surprise to me is he went off for 35 against the Oklahoma City Thunder with that talent, those defensive players, high IQ, a team that plays well together. They're the defending champs, and guys, we could be watching a dynasty right in front of us. I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of competition. We'll see what happens, but they are a really, really good team, and I'm not shocked that Austin Reaves was exposed a little bit tonight. I really wasn't. You know what might happen tomorrow? He might get exposed against the San Antonio Spurs, because the Spurs are also a really good team. All right, let's see what else we have here. See some of the comments here. AR is a good player. He's not good against teams that are better than the Lakers. That's really a Lakers problem more than anything. Need more talent around him, sure, and he's got to be better during some of these games with obviously just really good teams that the Lakers are going to go up against. This wasn't an awful game. I mean, we're not talking about the Lakers getting blown out by 25 against the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, and most people are walking to their cars at the start of fourth quarter. We had a game there towards the end. OKC executed a little bit better towards the end. A couple of calls went their way that didn't go the Lakers' way. You got to be almost perfect when you play the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Lakers were not. So I don't think it's the end of the world. I think if some people do, that's fine. But that was not my observation from the game. I thought the game was entertaining. Couple of minutes left to go. It could have gone either way. OKC played a couple better final of minutes. LeBron shoots a three, goes in and out. On the other side, OKC is hitting everything. And give the Thunder credit. They're a damn good team. All right, let's give some love to one of our partners here. Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Serious injury, wrongful death case. These are injury attorneys that can help anybody in the state of California. I won't spend too much time kind of giving the pitch here. I think for those who have been a part of this channel for the last year and change, or since I started last season independently right here on YouTube, you guys know he's been a very loyal partner. And I hope if anybody ever needs an injury attorney, first off, I hope you never need an injury attorney. But if that does happen, you got somebody that you could trust. Somebody that owns his own firm, and I could make an introduction directly to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. He's come on, obviously, the show a number of different times, a big Laker fan. So if it's somebody that you need, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. We created that URL so you could kind of go directly to them. It's a free consultation, and they know it's coming from the show. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Phenomenal injury attorneys. Will always fight for your case. And they kind of understand that this is an intimidating process and you might not be educated on it. Go to the experts. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Let's keep rolling here. Got a couple supers here I want to get into. No roll call, Allen. All right, next win, next W, we'll do some roll call. It's been a while since we've done a roll call. I mean, you could just lob it in if you want anyways. If I get to it, I'll get to it. Thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate it. Drink a couple of bourbons tonight. I know I am. I can't tonight. On a Monday night, I don't think that would be a good idea. I got the show tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Got another post-game show tomorrow after Lakers take on the Spurs, a 7:30 tip. Are we still doing 7:30 tip-offs? What is this? 1997? We're not done with 7:30 tip-offs? Intel Wild, I appreciate the supers. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much. Let's get another one here. You can't play Reaves at the end and get stops. Okay, let me go through some of the players that were in there. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example here. Okay, Luke Kennard was in towards the end of the game. Lakers actually went small towards the end of the game because they also can't depend on their big men, even though Hayes was kind of in and out. And obviously, I mentioned the 10 rebounds. Luke Kennard played towards the end of the game. There were some moments where Jake LaRavia was in the game, and you guys saw how uncomfortable Jake LaRavia looked from a three-point perspective. I thought Jake LaRavia had some really nice moments in the third quarter, kind of putting his shoulder down, saying, I'm going to work, got a couple of buckets around the basket. Vando is in at the end of games. He's in a corner. You think anybody's too worried about him? I know you're talking about the defensive side here, but the bigger problem with the Lakers is they have guys that can play offense, guys that can play defense, guys that can't do both. Reaves kind of falls into that category. Reaves is excellent on the offensive side. You can't rely him on defensive possessions. Because when Jalen Williams saw that Austin Reaves was guarding him, he went right to work. Got about free throw line extended, took a couple of jumpers. He's like, yeah, I think I'm worried about Austin Reaves guarding me right here. Vando's a liability on offense. Luke Kennard's a liability on the defensive side. Jake LaRavia, you can't depend on off. LeBron at this stage of his career. The point that I'm trying to make is Alex Caruso can play both sides of the ball. Isaiah Joe can play both sides of the ball. Kaysen Wallace can play both sides of the ball. There are guys on the Oklahoma City Thunder that they could play. Chet Holmgren could play both sides of the ball. There are guys that are on that team that have the ability to play both sides, and there's a lot of players for the Lakers that don't have that ability. That's just not an Austin Reaves thing. There's a lot of players on this team that unfortunately are not going to be known for the defensive side. Let's get another. Thank you for the super, brother. AR let the Thunder get to him mentally with fouls. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a great point. He did. He didn't look like he looked frustrated. He looked like he wasn't in his proper headspace. Looked like he was trying to draw fouls. Looked like he was too worried about the referees. I agree with that. I think that to me is the proper assessment of Austin Reaves tonight. Not that he's trash. Not that you're worried about him, what's going to happen in the playoffs, not what the future is going to look with Luke in. Put all that to the side. I think a lot of people have so many different thoughts going about AR, and I don't think they're focused on a game-to-game basis. This I agree with. This comment I agree with. AR let the Thunder get to him mentally with fouls. That part I agree with. I think that's a very, very fair assessment right there. Appreciate some of these supers here. So thank you for throwing in these supers. Okay, so let me keep going here because the Lakers do have let's take a look at what the Lakers got coming up tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to go back to this, and there's a comment here. I'll go back to something I just said. Guys, Lakers didn't lose by 25 tonight. Can we stop pretending like this was just an awful game and the Lakers had no chance? They had chances to win this game. Couple minutes left to go is a one-possession game. So you got to play perfect. You got to execute towards the end. And that kind of comes with the territory. The Oklahoma City Thunder right now, that's the team in the league. And there's a few teams out there that those are the teams to beat. And the Oklahoma City Thunder fall into that category. All right, next game for the Lakers. Lakers-Spurs coming up tomorrow. I do want to take a look here on the San Antonio Spurs side of things. See what their record is. Where are they now in the standings? I know they've been balling out. I know they're playing as good as basketball as anybody out there in the NBA. All right, let's take a look here. Spurs now 36-16. Spurs are 20 games over 500. They're actually only 3.5 games behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. Or maybe 4 games now once you equate this game, Lakers losing this game and Thunder obviously getting a win. They're only 4 games from the Oklahoma City Thunder. San Antonio 7-3 in their last 10 games, 4-game winning streak. Who have they beat? Mavs, Thunder, and the Magic. The Thunder game they won, I think, was without SGA, so nothing too crazy there. What good wins do they have? They got a win against the Rockets. They got a loss against the Rockets, Minnesota. So it's not like they're beating all the great teams. Let's see if they got any injuries coming in tomorrow's game. Nothing significant. So none of the key players, none of their big guns are all going to be playing. You'll see Wemby tomorrow. You'll see De'Aaron Fox tomorrow. You'll see Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell. They got a nice team, man, and they're ahead of schedule. It's funny. I don't even really pay attention to the Wemby part of things. Wemby is Wemby. That guy's awesome. He's unbelievable. Will eventually be an MVP. He's phenomenal. What impresses me with the San Antonio Spurs, first off, you barely even talk about De'Aaron Fox because there's so many other guys to talk about. A lot of Laker fans know De'Aaron Fox was just a complete baller when he was in Sacramento. Big-time player. Likes big shots. Just a really, really nice player. And this is a perfect situation and position for him when they traded for him last year. But take Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox out of the mix. Stephon Castle is a stud. Devin Vassell, these are players that play both sides of the floor, really, really talented. Keldon Johnson, nobody ever says anything about Keldon Johnson. Every time I hear Spurs talking about that, that's the leader of our team. Dylan Harper, obviously young. Harrison Barnes, a player that's been in the league for a long time. Luke Cornett's a nice player for them. So what impresses me most about the San Antonio Spurs is they're not depending on one or two players. They have stars. They have very high level players. Wembanyama is, I don't know, where do you put him in the NBA? Top 6 or 7? Sometimes it's like no question about it. He's the best player in the league on any given night. De'Aaron Fox is a really, really nice player, like I mentioned, but they got depth. They got a lot of guys that play. Let me put it this way: if you're frustrated about Austin Reaves last night, tonight, get ready to get frustrated about Austin Reaves tomorrow. That's not an easy game for Austin Reaves and a lot of these Laker players tomorrow. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. That's an interesting one. Where was Maxey? Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I think, I've talked about this, and I actually gave JJ Redick credit that the guy's been playing good enough that he's earned some minutes. And remember, he played in one game because Hayes was out. Then he played in another game because Ayton was out. Well, Lakers had both of those guys available tonight, and Maxey just got 5 minutes. I'm with you on that. I take my chances with Maxey. Maybe he just doesn't like the matchup because it's the Thunder and all the different things that they're able to do. But I understand where you're coming from on that. Spurs own OKC of all teams. Yeah, I'm with you. They've won literally 4 out of 5. Tonight's game was the one to win. Tomorrow they will lose. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. I do actually think because SGA was out, that this was, and it's the first of a back-to-back, that if there's a game to win, they probably had a better chance tonight than tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a tough game. That's just, very simply put. The surprise tomorrow is not Lakers lose. The surprise is if the Lakers win. And if it's a close game, few minutes left to go, something along those lines, and they got a shot at winning. But tomorrow's going to be, I think, a tougher game than it was tonight. And obviously they took the L today. Slee is already making excuses. Not making excuses. I'm just telling you exactly how I feel. There's no excuses to be made. Tomorrow's a tough game. That's not an excuse. That's assessing the talent. Spurs are more talented, and they're healthier, and Luka's out, and they're a better team. So there's a difference between making an excuse and just assessing and being honest about the team that's out there. All right, let's take a look at a couple more comments. I do want to mention and just kind of give everybody an idea from a standings perspective where the Lakers are looking after the loss tonight. Each one of these games in the Western Conference, as you guys know, it has such an effect every game. You lose a game and it has an effect. You lose another and it has an effect. So we all know that. Before we do so, I want to give another shout out here to another one of our partners, Harris Resort SoCal. So somebody was asking me earlier today to say, Slee, will you have a special for Harris Resort SoCal? We do have a special. On the link in the bio, tell you guys right now, link on the bio. Those who listen to this channel and listen to this show, there's a link in the bio for 20% off to book at Harris Resort SoCal. So it's something that they're doing exclusive for the channel. It's awesome for them to do this. And I know they want to get as many listeners who are looking for a staycation to come out to Harris. I'm appreciative of their partnership. They're appreciative of the audience. So if you're going to book at Harris Resort SoCal, or you're looking for a staycation, or you've been listening to me promoting the resort, the casino, in the description here, there's a link there. I have one. It's a partnership that says for Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, and there's a link there to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Then there's Harris Resort with that 20%. It's through Caesars Rewards, which obviously owns Caesars, which the Harris brand is under. There's a 20% off There is restrictions that apply and everything else, but if you go to the bio and you want to book, it's 20% off. So really excited that they did this for us. And like I said, anybody that's looking for a staycation, it's about, yeah, I'd say between 1 to 2 hours from anywhere in Southern California. You click on that link and you'll get a chance to book for 20% off. So we'll leave that there. Shout out to Harris Resort SoCal, and I'll give more details on that tomorrow. We actually got a big giveaway that we're going to do with Harris tomorrow as well on the show. So make sure you're tuned tomorrow at 8 a.m. and we'll execute that giveaway. Okay, standings wise, here's where the Lakers are. Well, let's see. I'm going to actually look at this at the same time as you guys do. I won't share my screen this time. Let's see where the Lakers are. So after this loss, Lakers actually have a little bit of a cushion here. The Minnesota Timberwolves have 22 losses. The Suns have 22 losses. Lakers have 20. But they are in the number 5 spot. If the playoffs started today, they would take on the Houston Rockets, which would actually be a pretty good series. I think a little bit of a dogfight. I don't think the Thunder are as good as we officially thought. All right, let's see. Let's get a couple more of these comments in, and then we'll call it an evening. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll do it all over again. Let's see what our people are saying. Doing us a favor. Now, to be honest, you guys are doing me a favor because you guys are listeners of the show, always support the show. So if I get a partner that I could find a way for them to, obviously hook you guys up, that's my pleasure to do that because of the audience. So you don't got to thank me or me saying I'm doing you a favor. No, I'm just taking care of an audience that's taking care of me. So I appreciate you guys. Let's see what we have here. Luke was missing today. You're right about that. What Kennard end up doing? Listen, teams are going to adjust. They're going to realize, yeah, that guy's a sniper. He's a really good shooter. We better get on him. We better make him put the ball on the floor. Luke Kennard, very quiet tonight. 7 points, 3 of 5 from the field. Yeah, to be honest with you, if he had one more bucket, if he got around 10, 12 points, that's what you're really hoping for. So it wasn't awful or anything like that, but played 24 minutes of play, 7 points for him. All right, final couple of comments, and we're going to wrap it up here. Rob mentioned a lineup with the big three, Rui and Kennard. Still think future is bright, especially with Rob. If so, I got a timeshare I want to sell you on. Here's why the Lakers' future is bright. And it has nothing to do, for me, it has nothing to do with Rui or Luke Kennard or even Austin Reaves or, I don't know, DeAndre Ayton. It has nothing to do with the individual players. It has nothing to do with Rob Pelinka. It has nothing to do with Jeannie Buss. The reason why the Lakers' future is bright is because ownership is everything. And at least right now, it looks like they, obviously have an owner that's got incredible deep pockets who can do a lot of different, it can make a lot of changes to the front office, whether it's adding to the front office, which they clearly need to do, or completely changing the front office, which could happen in a couple of years or whatever the case is. That's why the future is bright. So if you want to sell your timeshare, you're selling it for the wrong reasons. I'd hold on to my timeshare because, like I said, every successful business starts at the top. And they got, they got an owner that wants to win, is very competitive, is already having as good a success I've ever seen from a sports franchise, at least on the baseball side of things. And that doesn't mean you win every year, but it means you're competitive every year. That's obviously been the case for the Dodgers. So as we sit here today, I will purchase your timeshare. I'm in. Thank you for the super, by the way. But that's why you should be excited about the Lakers. I'm not trying to sell you that you should be excited about them because of Rob Pelinka. I'm not telling you should be excited for them about certain players on the team. I mean, obviously, Luka, you're very excited about Luka Doncic, what he could be. But at the end of the day, you're excited because imagine the resources he can put into that front office and go get the best basketball minds and the best scouts in the world. And then once you do that, then you could start trying to build something like an Oklahoma City Thunder or a San Antonio Spurs or a Boston Celtics or the Denver Nuggets, teams that have been consistent every single year they've been in the mix, right? And San Antonio is not a good example because they just started, but OKC I know is fairly new as well. But that's how you're successful, is based off of that, and it starts with the ownership. By the way, listen, this comment here, future is bright, AR is a great trade asset. You're not wrong on that. I've said this before. I think they should re-sign Austin Reaves, and if it doesn't work in a year, use him as an asset. Use him to go get some type of other player that has potential of being an all-star, is already an all-star. So I don't think you have to be married to any of these players. I think you're trying to figure out what works. He invests heavily in analytics, player development, and biostatistical analysis. By the way, Farhan Saadi came to our school and gave a talk. Interesting. That's very interesting. I believe new ownership and their roadmap to success. Guys, if Genie was still the owner and it just felt like this is it and the Lakers are just going to run their, kind of chase their tail. And I'm not talking about just Genie. I'm talking about the Bus family and not putting enough resources and hiring too many friends and family. Then I would have a different conversation with you. But I don't think that's the case. I think that, to me, is obviously the big difference. Clean house, and it starts with the front office. I think if they're not taking steps that are going towards the direction of where it looks like things are starting to change in a year from now, I think there's going to be serious discussions of like, hey, are these the right people? We'll have to wait for that. We don't know the answer to that. All right, people. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for spending, 45 minutes plus on the post-game show. Obviously, Lakers not making it happen in this game tonight against Oklahoma City Thunder, and had some chances. Obviously, it didn't happen. We'll see what they can do tomorrow. They got the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Big giveaway from Harris tomorrow as well. They're giving away a one-night stay to a luxury room, and then they're also giving away $350 room credit. So be a part of the show tomorrow. We'll figure it out how we're going to give it away. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.